Hello friends, welcome to another episode of the Rifle Chair channel. This is going to be kind of an oddity video compared to most of the videos that I've made in the past. This one is going to be a bit of an anomaly because it's a video about not achieving the expectations that you had for yourself or for your rifles when you go to the range. And it doesn't work out for one reason or another. So it's about working through a process of discovery and trying to find out what went wrong, why it went wrong, trying to go through a process of elimination to find out what went wrong and why it went wrong and how to fix it. And still coming up in the end without any answers, except exploring possibilities that you need to be able to take that rifle moving forward into the future in order for it to achieve what you want. And this actually happens a lot, I think, when you go to the range and it just doesn't work out for one reason or another. I think we've all been there, and you sit there scratching your head, okay, what do I need to do? This is annoying. What do I need to do next? And just think it through. So this is what this video is about. It's about not achieving what I wanted to achieve, but I filmed it, so I might as well use it in a video. Hope you enjoy it. We're going to be looking at three different Model 98 Mausers, large ring Model 98 Mausers, starting with the top and working our way down. We have the beautiful and very, very simple and robust FN Husqvarna Model 98 Mauser with a beechwood stock. It's an original, I would say it's actually a post-war military Model 98, so it does have the stripper clip groove and thumb reloading cut out, so for quick reloads, which is really, really handy. This rifle has no scope setting arrangement, but that's one of the reasons why I have it. I want to keep it that way. We'll get into this one. Rifle number 2 here, we have the Parker Hale 1100 lightweight, and this rifle is chambered in 6.5 by 55 Swedish Mauser. This is 8 by 57. This is 6.5 Swede. And this, I love this. I love this rifle, even though this has been manufactured by Parker Hale. It has a Spanish Santa Barbara middle commercial 98 Mauser action. We'll go into a little bit on what makes them kind of different. And on the bottom we have a Zastava, Model 98, standard Model 98, and it is a commercial 98, and it is 100% of everything you see on here is made by Zastava. It is adorned with a Zrak ON 76 Bravo optical sight with a with a ranging reticle similar to the SVD. Assuming that a target is 1.75 meters tall, you'll be able to range its distance. And it is also chambered in 8 by 57. And I've put a load together to match as closely as I'm able to in order to make use of that range finding reticle. Because it has, it's basically a BDC system that's built into it that I want to try to make sure I'm able to use. Why else have a scope like that if you can't use it for what it's made for? So we're just going to kind of go through an overview of all three rifles and maybe do just a little bit of shooting in between. Kind of show you why some of these are different, why I like them for their inherent characteristics, and we'll make that the video. Range 100 meters, 8-inch circle, 195 grain Hornady interlocks, IMR 4064 is the charge Winchester large rifle primers and PPU brass. This gets me, I won't tell you what the charge is because I might get myself in YouTube trouble, but it is, let's just say that it packs a bit of a wallop. So this is like full house 8x57 Mauser loads. I'm starting to see a pattern developing at this point. You know, first round, okay, it's high. Second round, oh, it's grouping right next to it. Third round, okay, so there's obviously a pattern developing here. The accuracy is good, but this group is about 10 inches high. And so, what am I going to do now? Because I don't have a lot of front sights. It looks like a standard military Model 98 sight will fit, but I don't want those barleycorn front sights. My eyes don't use them well. The front sight on this rifle is a nice square post with a brass bead on the top. It's a square bead. It actually draws light, almost like a fiber optic front sight when you've got light coming to your rear, but it's dark. So I like the front sight. I just need a taller one. I think the official title for this video should be "What Went Wrong," because things didn't work out today for any of the rifles that I brought. I was really surprised, but I have some problem solving to do. You know, it's occurred to me that this is quite frequently the way range sessions go. It wasn't an easy fix, or it wasn't something you could immediately rectify. But you learn something, or maybe you need to test something, or maybe you need to reconfigure something altogether. Excuse me. So today, I had three, should we say, made progress, but not achieved what I wanted to achieve. Even though I've had these rifles for a little while now, at least available to me, these rifles have been available to me, is that I haven't had much time with each of them. I've had just a little bit of time with each of them. I'm starting to get to know them, but what I need to do to make sure that they're doing what I want them to do. So, I mean, for example, today I learned that I need a taller front sight on this FN Husqvarna M98. This rifle here, it's bog standard. It's just basically a post-war, but a wartime kind of configured 98 Mauser action large ring. Fabric National manufacturer, but it was branded by a Husqvarna. I mean, the Belgians are just, they're absolutely famous for the quality of their 98 Mausers. This is amongst one of the first, I think they call them the 648, or the 6, I think it's the 648 Husqvarna. But it's a Belgian Mauser action. And I'm not sure, but I think that maybe the Swedes put their own barrels on these. And they're just awesome. I mean, I love running this rifle. I've owned many before, but they were always the commercial version, which means they had a straight wall left side of the receiver, and there was the machining for the stripper clip guide has been removed. And I never liked that. I always preferred the military Mauser 98. And so I actually found one that hadn't been drilled and tapped. It's got an excellent barrel. I'd say very good plus barrel on it. There's a couple of pits towards the crown, but otherwise the barrel looks really, really amazing. It's sharp and crisp and bright. The comb on the rifle is maybe, this is still a bit high. They didn't quite adopt the full kind of Bruno Lux style, taper to their buttstocks, and so your cheek piece is definitely on that piece of wood, trying to access the rear sight. That is for sure. But anyway, discovered today I need a taller front sight. The ammunition I want to run out of it. I would actually be almost dead bang on bullseye if I was running the 198 grain full metal jacket bowtail PPU ammunition. It's really underpowered, and it seems to land around 6 inches lower, 6 to 7 inches lower than kind of normal hot 8x57 ammunition. This is 195 grain Hornady Spitzer point interlock PPU brass Winchester large rifle primers and a great charge of IMR 4064. So that's kind of putting it at the velocity that I want the 8x57 to run in. My point of aim was the 6 o'clock position of this 8-inch circle. I was expecting it to cluster somewhere around here. And so I'm from center to group to center of group. That's about 3 inches higher than I would like that 195 grain bullet to be traveling. I want to be able to have point of aim on a target at 200 meters with that bullet, and I want it to hit center of mass or where I'm aiming. And if I need to aim off a little bit at 100 meters, I'm fine with that. I just want the zero to be 200 meters. So I've got another front sight at the house. I'm going to see if it's taller, because I'll use it. But otherwise, this is still the camp gun. I know that it's just shooting a little bit high, but for just, an all-around kind of camp gun, I don't want a scope. I don't want a scope. I want open sights. Yep. And I love this. I love this rifle. It's so silky smooth throwing the action. What a great rifle. So some rifles I think are worth investing your personal time to diagnose what the problem is. That's not a bad group. I'm probably going to put another 5 rounds through it in the prone supported, just to verify that is an accurate representation of shooting off a rickety table. So that's an idea I just came up with while I'm talking about it. I'm going to shoot it one more time, 5 round cluster in the prone supported. Well, this rifle is hot. That's 5. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's actually 2 holes in that. There's actually 2 bullets in that hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's really not that much difference. You know, I'm still in the zone, prone, or in that rickety bench. So yeah, I'll just need to bring it down about 3 inches for my 200 meter zero-ish, you know. But maybe what I should consider doing is shooting this at 200 meters rather than making assumptions on what my come up should be at this point. This might actually be at 200 meter zero. And so let's test that first before we make any critical adjustments. Parker Hale 1100 lightweight and 6.5 by 55 Swedish Mauser is absolutely adorable. I love this rifle, but I'm not having a lot of success. I found I put roughly around 10, maybe 12 rounds through it today, and you can see kind of this cluster on the target here. I was shooting at this one, but I can't get it to pattern. Right at this time, it's approximately maybe a 4 minute of angle rifle, and that's not acceptable. I need to find out what the problem is. It could be the scope. This is a really old scope. This is the BC Maraku from, you know, it's a fixed 4x32 with a German #1 reticle, which I love. It's the only reason why I'm using this scope is because I love the German #1 reticle, and I don't have any other scope that has it. So this is the one scope that I wanted to use on this rifle. But if it's not working, maybe it's the scope, maybe it's the rings, maybe it's the mount. I checked the receiver screws; they're tight. I don't know what's going on, but right now it's a 4 minute angle rifle. So we need to diagnose what the problem could be. Maybe try a different scope, different rings, and then if I go through that process, maybe I don't want to do anything with the bedding. That's going to be one of the last things I'm going to want to think about. But unfortunately, I think this rifle is going to be a process of discovery. I don't know. But it was not patterning the way I wanted. And what I found that after a couple of shots is that I was trying to chase the group, which means I thought maybe it was a reticle problem. So I would make an adjustment, and then I land way over here and said that doesn't make any sense. I would went in the opposite direction. So maybe it's a scope issue. I don't know. But anyway, that's one I need to try to figure out. And you know, I love the checkering. I love the palm swell. I love the kind of reddish orangey English walnut. I love the Schnabel 4-tip on here. I mean, if you're going to hand somebody a rifle, that's a really handy place to hold it. The way the Schnabel 4-tip is on here, I mean, that just makes your grip so much stronger. If you're hunting, you're likely going to be having wet hands, slippery. But doing it this way, handing it over, is not great. But if you can hand it over like that, that's way better. And that's a really grippy little area right here that you can get your hands around. Even small hands can do it. But there's also full contact right here at this location. Full contact. There is no free floating whatsoever in this barrel channel. So, but that's something I don't want to have to think about. I'm just going to search all of these other options out because they're the low-hanging fruit. They're the easy things that I can do with the most minimal effort. And lastly, it just could be that the ammunition that I made for it is not meeting expectations, and that this rifle shoots just fine. So I have to acquire some other ammunition. I thought it was going to shoot well in this rifle, but it's the best of the bunch that I selected, which was a IRMAR 4350, a 140 grain Sierra Game King in Norma brass, and a Winchester large rifle primer. That charge should work. It's kind of a universal load. Excuse me, I'm sorry. A process of discovery. And the Zastava, how do I pronounce this? Zavodi Kravena Zastava Krajevic, Yugoslavia, 8x57. And I've owned this rifle for years and years, and I think it's rather attractive. I know it's got that kind of I gotta drink some water here, dehydrated. That kind of orangey, kind of yellowy style of, I don't know, is it Circassian walnut from Turkey that they use for these? It's a really pale version if it is. But what I can say is that I think that what Zastava was trying to do was they were trying to they're trying to build themselves an FN Mauser. That's the way I look at it, is that even with just the way that the bolt is swept, they're kind of copying, I think, the Belgian 98 Mausers. I think that they basically could call themselves a clone of it. The commercial versions of the FN 98 Mausers, large ring. I think they're trying to, as best they can, clone that. And even the bolt, the way it's swept, the way it's checkered underneath on one side, the way the distance between the bolt and the bolt knob is longer than on the Parker Hale. I don't like the Parker Hale bolt as much as I do the Zastava or the FN. It does not have the quality of the milling of the FN. It's quite rough, actually, and I did need to use a media on here to polish the raceways in order to smooth it up. But that seems to be part of the course with Yugoslavian 98s. It just seems to be. They're not as, but it's nicely blued. I'm not a huge fan of the double set triggers because you're basically just a fingertip is the contact, and you're kind of pushing almost sideways on it, but it is light. But that would be really difficult to do with gloved hands. You'd have to take your gloves, it might be minus 30 degrees outside, and you're going to have to sit there with your finger, out of your gloves to make contact with that trigger. I don't think that's a great situation to be in. And I removed the Zrak ON76 Bravo scope because I wanted to verify where my open sights were landing. I was aiming at this one, and that's pretty good for my open sights at 100 meters. So I'm just going to leave it there, maybe put the scope back on. Having problems with the scope. I'm not sure, 100% sure how these scopes work. I'm having problems zeroing it. So if anybody knows of a guide in English to help you zero the ON76B Zrak scope with the Zrak rings, so they're adjustable for windage. The rings are, so you can keep your reticle and the scope as centered as you can. But I want to know how to adjust. So I got that figured out, but not for the elevation. I need to set the turret so that it's in line with the ammunition that I'm running through it, and I'm having problems doing that. Adjusting the scope for, not for windage, but for elevation. Excuse me. What else? I think that's it. But here's the thing: is that I kind of walk away from this whole thing, and I didn't really achieve what I wanted to achieve, but I'm a step closer. Some of them are easy fixes. Some of them are not easy fixes. It means that I'm stupid and I need to learn something different in order to make it better. And it's, I think, probably 80% of the time, it's the shooter and not the rifle. I think I actually believe that. I think it's probably 80% of the time it's the shooter and not the rifle. And then they want to bring their rifle to a gunsmith to fix it, and the gunsmith is saying, well, just if you actually just learned how to shoot, that would be a good start. Instead of just blaming your rifle, is that maybe you need to do something different yourself. Anyway, so that's this rifle chair YouTube video. I'll put some passing shots of these rifles which are not performing to my expectations in at the end. Maple leaf up. you.